Welcome back. I'm here this week with some educational content, even though most of us are on some form of summer vacation. What do the space race and the civil rights movement have in common? This was not in the syllabus during this week's episode, 1987 Summer School, but in the 1950s and 60s, as part of the government's interest in winning the space race, and at the beginning of the civil rights movement, summer school became a viable option to help students of all backgrounds and educational levels catch up during the summer months. Before we talk about summer school, let's look at why summer school would even be a thing in the first place. Because after all, shouldn't kids just be in school year-round the way adults have to work year-round? Well, when public education was developed in the 1800s, the US was still largely an agrarian society. As such, the best times to harvest the land were in the summer months, so schools were closed so kids could help their family with the business. So in a sense, kids did work year-round. Then a couple of things happened. Child labor laws limited the number of hours kids could work, and the US became a more industrialized nation. But what has stuck around through several centuries was the summer vacation in the school year. And there have been many attempts to alter the traditional academic calendar, mostly by the advocates of year-round education, but none have caused widespread national change. Several districts have made the school year slightly longer by adding a week at the end and adding a week at the beginning of the school year. But regardless, summer has remained a time for vacation, relaxation, and an occasional summer school session with a wacky group of kids. Enter the mid-century. The US was the leader of the free world and the assumed winner of the space race, the contest between the USSR and the West to become the first superpower to land on the moon and plant that ever-important flag. On October 4th, 1957, the launch of Sputnik by the Soviet Union changed the world and American education forever. A national panic ensued as the country came to grips with its first defeat in the great space race of the 50s and 60s. All of a sudden, mathematics and science education became a priority of both policymakers and educators. Summer school began to have an increased role in this movement, where students were encouraged to strengthen their mathematics and science skills through increased study in the summer months. Federal funding became available to create accelerated mathematics and science programs, many of which were delivered in summer school sessions. And as the country became fully involved and invested in the space race, the civil rights movement of the 1960s also had an increased impact on education. Schools were seen more and more as institutions to enact cultural and social change, and summer schools were expanded to meet this need. More and more summer school programs were implemented to meet the new demand to a return to learning for students of all backgrounds and educational levels. Remedial English was even a topic of high priority, so no wonder teachers like Shoup were bribed with tenure in exchange for teaching a group of wacky students who had not taken their studies seriously during the academic year. And during the late 80s and early 90s, there was an increased demand for school accountability. Student test scores were frequently used as a measure of the effectiveness of individual schools and school districts. Students who had substandard test scores were required to attend summer school to make up their deficiencies. Today, there is still a demand for academic excellence and school accountability. And today, summer school programs generally fit into one of two categories: remediation or enrichment. Remediation summer school programs serve students who have difficulty mastering required core content and skills. Often these students lack the required prerequisites or skills needed to graduate from one level to the next, as we saw with Shoup's kids in summer school. And remediation programs are designed to deliver a specific curriculum in a condensed period of time, emphasizing the mastery of the student's interest. And these summer classes are generally longer in length, 2 to 3 hours a day, and meet for a shorter duration of time, 4 to 6 weeks, than traditional classes. And these enrichment classes are designed to assist a student in accelerating their learning during that condensed period of time, like we saw with Robin's honor students who were there by choice. So getting back to year-round education, there are advocates who argue that the school calendar based on that agrarian society has outlived its usefulness. And they advocate for the elimination of summer vacation, thus ending the need for summer school and the threat of denying tenure for PE teachers. Other researchers have shown that students show a profound loss of retention over the summer months, especially students who come from disadvantaged backgrounds. And there is another educational school of thought that questions the value of summer school altogether and cites a lack of research showing positive student achievement as a result of participation in a summer school program. And I guess all I would have to say to that is that team probably studied Shoup's class on Texas Chainsaw Massacre Day and did not experience the overall effect that summer school had on this group of students. So go ahead and give the subscribe button an A+ so you never miss a thing. We appreciate our podcast listeners. You can find Real Relationships on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And new episodes drop every Thursday, along with new episodes of this show on YouTube every Thursday. We've still got a lot of great content for Summer 11, and we look forward to continue bringing it to you. We thank you again. As always, stay safe, and we will see you soon.